Yo, what's going on everyone? Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a cinematic color grade from start until finish to get your footage to look from this to this. So without further ado, let's just get straight to it. So here I've got some footage from one of my recent music videos that's called Somebody by Mossy Cash and Polly Popper. If you guys want to check out this video, you can head to the link in my description. I've got all the music videos that I do for clients on that channel. And I'm going to show you how to completely transform this grey, dull looking beach into like a Hollywood sunset movie type of grade. These are just my pretty standard nodes I like to use, and I'm just going to show you each one by one. The very first thing you want to do is make a CST node, which is a color space transform node. To make a CST node, you just go to effects and type in the search bar here, color space transform. I've already done it, and then you drag and drop it on that node. You then have to put in your specific camera settings. I shot on a Blackmagic 6K, so you can easily search up on Google or ChatGPT what camera settings to put in a color space transform node based on whatever camera you used for your shoot. You make sure you want to put it as the fourth node here. I like to put denoise, exposure, and white balance just at the front. It just works better before you transform your footage in Direct 709. As you can see, this is a pretty dull image even though it's at peak hour sunset. So the first thing I like to do is go into my white balance and just make it a touch warmer around there, I'd say. You don't want to make it too warm because I'm going to adjust the sky accordingly later. Then what you want to do is I like to go into my exposure. Instead of using these wheels here, I like to go in my HDR wheels and then just go through and just slightly adjust these until I see an overall nice image. I kind of want everyone in this shot looking like silhouetted, so I am going to drop the shadows just a little bit here to get those blacks really black, and then I kind of want the sky to pop a little bit more, so I'm just going to adjust the light slightly. And as you can see, when I turn these on and off, it's a slight difference, but it's looking better. Then I like to do my contrast, and these are the big three that I always start with: exposure, white balance, and contrast. I like to do my contrast towards the end just to give it that overall contrasty look, as I also feel like contrast works a lot better when you do it at the end of your grade than at the start of the grade. What I do is I like to make 2 points where these lines are here, so one right there and then one at the top around there. And what I like to do is pull the blacks down and then pull the lights up to make kind of an S curve on this graph here. As I said before, I want the blacks to be really black to kind of create a silhouette. So I'm going to drag these a lot lower to get that silhouette look right there. So that looks pretty good. Next thing I am going to do is go into my shadows, and I am going to drop these as well because I can still kind of see the details on everybody here. I just want them to be completely black, and I'd say that looks pretty good. What I then like to do is I like to go into my node HSV here, and this is basically an alternative to saturation. So you can see when I just bump this saturation all the way up here, it looks like way too orangey, and like just the colors just look really off, and I just don't like how that looks. So instead what I do is make a HSV node, and you can do that by right clicking the node, going to color space, and then HSV. What you also want to do is right click, go on your channels and untick 1 and untick 3. And then what we can do is go to this wheel here, go to our gain, and just turn that up as much as we'd like. And you can see it's boosting that color, but it's not giving a very overly saturated feel to the image. And then when I turn that on and off, you can see it's just made that color just so much more nicer than if I was just to bump up the saturation. Then what I want to do is I'm going to go to my LUT tab over here. You can use pretty much any LUT you want. You know, you can find one online. I've even got LUTs on my store, carefulcuts.com. I got all my editing packs. If you guys want to check that out, link in the description. But usually I use the LUTs inside of Davinci Resolve. You go to this LUT tab over here. You can then go to film looks to get that kind of cinematic look, and then scroll through all these LUTs here and just preview which ones look better on your image. I know these look pretty bad on the preview here, but just trust the process and see which ones you think you would like. I kind of like D65 here, so I'm just going to drag that on top of my LUT. Obviously this is way too overkill, but what I like to do is go into this qualifier tab here and go to your key output gain and just drag it all the way to 0. And then slowly I like to drag it up, and what that's doing is that's, as you can see in this box here, it's increasing the opacity of the LUT. So I like to put it at around 0.2, but you can drag it a little bit more or a little bit less, just depending on your footage and what you like. I'd say that looks pretty good. And then when I turn it on and off, it's just added a little bit a more filmy cinematic look to the image without making it overkill. I really like that, how it is there. So those are the base nodes I like to do on all of my footage that I'm color grading. I do those nodes pretty much every single time. Now these nodes are where I get into the slight touches that might not work for all footage, but I'm just gonna do the ones that work on this footage right here. The next thing I'm gonna do is make this sky just a lot more Hollywood film type of vibe. So it's already pretty warm as I've adjusted the white balance and the HSV and whatnot. I just want to take it that step further. What we're going to do is go to our qualifier tab right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to select the color in the sky. If you hold Shift H, you can see we have exactly what you selected. I'm just going to hold and drag everything in the sky just up here. And as you can see, we have pretty much all the whites and just the color of the sky selected. I'm going to undo Shift H. And then just to give it that really warm look, I'm going to go into our temperature here and just bump up that warmness just to around, I'd say 650 or 700, just like that. That looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit less. Yeah, I like that. And you can see that's just made that sky just so much more orange, just giving that look so much better. And if you look what it looks like before, it's just transformed that footage so much more. Next thing I want to do is just go to my color slice node here and then go to the color slice tab at the bottom. I really like this feature here because you're able to select whatever color in your footage and just adjust each individual color to your liking. Obviously I've only really got these reddish blacks here and the oranges in the sky. You guys will have a lot more to choose from, like trees or the blue sky or whatnot. The skin tab is usually anything that's in the realm of like skin color. So if I turn that on and off, you can see it's kind of picking up because everything here is a bit reddish, blackish. We're going to be able to adjust the saturation or density of that color. I forgot to mention you can toggle this to see what color is selecting. So if I go to yellow, you can see it's selecting the yellows in the sky or the reds. There's a bit of red on the people. And then obviously there's going to be no green. So if I select that, there's no green or pinks or anything like that. And then what we can do is this tab here is a saturation. So we can either make it saturation super high or drop it super low. I'm just going to adjust it a little bit slightly, 0.5, to make that saturation just a little bit more. And then you can also adjust the density, so like making it brighter or darker, depending on the feel. I kind of want it to be a little bit brighter, like that. Then what I also like to do is I like to go to my warm tab here, just make it a little bit warmer. And this is a trick to make it a little bit warmer of the overall image. Go to your curves here, and then you choose red, drag that down slightly, go to green, drag it down slightly more than the red, and then go to blue, and then drag that down slightly onto the green. And you can see it just made the oranges just a little bit warmer. That's just a little trick to make the warmth in your image just look a little bit more appealing. Now, I feel like the warmth in this image is kind of getting too warm now. So I'm just going to go back into my white balance and drop that down to, I'd say maybe 100. That looks a bit better. And then one of the last steps I like to do is add a little bit of glow to the highlights of the image. What I like to do is go to my qualifier again, select the highlights of the image, so your really bright parts. And then I like to go and just up the blur radius a little bit, make that a bit blurry. Just play with the clean whites and the luminance as well if you want to expand or shorten the area selected. Then what I like to do is go into our blur here, just bump this up to around 6, 8, and that's just made those highlights really blurry and fuzzy. And you can see when I turn this off, it's just added that really nice glow around the highlights that I just love. It's very subtle, but it's the small things that make the biggest difference. If you want even more glow to your highlights, you can add a node right next to it. Go to your effects and actually type up glow and add an actual glow effect to the node here. As you can see, that's automatically adding glow to your highlights right there. You can change the spread to see how much you want the glow to obviously spread through your image. The gain to see how like powerful you want the glow to be, and then just the overall shine threshold to make it like super big or super subtle. And I kind of think that doesn't look too bad actually. It's quite bright, so what I might do is go back to my highlight selection here, just drop those highlights down just a little bit, not too much. Actually the highlights doesn't look too good. I might drop down the gain, which is the whites, just drop it down ever so slightly like that. You can see this is with and without the glow. It just makes it nice fuzzy and like that dreamy look within the image. If you have Resolve Studio, what you can also do is add halation. I know most of you don't have Resolve Studio, but I do, so I'm just gonna make this very, very quick. Add this effect halation, you drag and drop it, and it makes those oranges just a little bit more fuzzy in the image. Same thing with the dough, you can adjust the strength, the threshold, and you can see it just makes those oranges like really nice and fuzzy and kind of dreamy look around the edges here. And yeah, I usually like to do that anything with a sunset or just a very warm image as well. And there you have it. That's my full color grading process from start to finish on how to make a cinematic color grade for your edits. If you guys want to color grade exactly like me, I'm dropping my power grade pack very, very soon. It's gonna have a bunch of power grades, every single node and step that I've taken, ready to drag and drop over your footage. So you can adjust it, see how I've made it, and just color grade it exactly like this footage right here. Also subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.